So, we've talked before about that little bit of space, the gap between what happens to you and how you choose to respond. Well, today we're going to dive deep into a really powerful idea that lives right inside that gap. It's like a switch that can turn your biggest, most frustrating obstacle into the clearest path forward. I want you to just let that sink in for a second. That thing you're dealing with right now, the one that feels like a brick wall, what if it's not a wall at all? What if it's actually a doorway? It's a pretty radical idea, and it's not new. In fact, it comes from a very old, very wise school of thought. You're looking at words from the private journal of a Roman emperor, a Stoic philosopher named Marcus Aurelius. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Oh, great, just smile through the pain, right? But that is not what this is. This isn't toxic positivity. It's something way more practical. He's saying that every single challenge, every obstacle, actually contains the exact information we need to get past it.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll dig into that core concept. Then we'll look at how our brains actually handle challenges. We've got an absolutely incredible real-world story to share. And then we're getting into the practical stuff, the tools you can use, wrapping up with a simple 3-step practice you can start using today.
Okay, so let's start here. The Stoics really believed that everything standing in our way, a project that fails, a tough conversation you have to have, an unexpected bill, it's not just a random roadblock. It's actually a signpost pointing you exactly where you need to go. And here's the catch, and it's a big one. You can't see the information, you can't read the signpost when you're in that reactive emotional state. To see it clearly, you need what we're going to call your conductor, your adult brain, to be switched on and in charge. Which brings us to the two completely different ways our brain can look at any problem.
This is where ancient wisdom smacks right into modern neuroscience, and it's fascinating. Your brain basically has 2 modes for dealing with anything difficult, and the mode you're in, well, it changes absolutely everything.
So check this out. On one side, you've got the child brain. When it's in charge, it sees a threat. Your body gets flooded with the stress hormone cortisol, and your options suddenly feel super limited: fight, run away, or just freeze up. But when your conductor is online, it sees the exact same situation as just information. It can access logic, reason, and it opens up this fourth, much more powerful option to just get curious about it. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But does it actually work when things get really, really bad? Well, let me tell you the story of a man named James Stockdale. His story is, hands down, one of the most powerful examples of this mindset in action you will ever hear. So, back in 1965, Stockdale's plane was shot down over Vietnam. He spent the next 7.5 years as a prisoner of war. We're talking torture, solitary confinement, and absolutely no clue if you'd ever see his family again. And yet, somehow, he not only survived, he came out of it with his spirit and his mind completely unbroken. Years later, when he was asked how on earth he managed to do it, his answer was stunning. He said, the ones who didn't make it, they were the optimists. The guys who would say, don't worry, we'll be out by Christmas. But then Christmas would come and go, and then they'd say, okay, by Easter. And with every missed deadline, a little piece of their hope just shattered, until eventually their hearts just broke. Stockdale's approach was totally different. He looked the brutal reality of his situation right in the eye. He didn't pretend it wasn't awful, he accepted it. And because he did that, he was able to stop wasting energy wishing things were different and start asking a new question. Okay, given that this is my reality, what can I actually do right now? He didn't let the obstacle destroy him, he forced it to teach him. So how do we do that? How do we make that shift from the panicky child brain to the calm, clear conductor? Well, the Stoics basically left us a toolkit. It's all about activating 3 key inner resources, which I like to call the light 3. First step in the toolkit is curiosity. This is that little part of you that can take a step back from all the emotion and just observe. It's the voice in your head that asks, what's actually going on here? What is this situation trying to show me? The second tool is nurturing. Marcus Aurelius was always writing about being kind to himself, about returning to yourself. It's about cutting yourself some slack, especially when you're struggling. It's remembering that you're a student here and you're still figuring things out. And this last one, this is the one that always surprises people: light-hearted play. The Stoics weren't these grim, serious dudes all the time. Marcus Aurelius knew that to keep going, to sustain any real effort, you absolutely need to recharge. You need rest. You need laughter. You need moments of just pure, simple joy. Okay, before we get to the final practice, there's one more really important idea we have to nail down. It's about how to escape a trap that keeps so many of us stuck. I call it the resistance loop. So much of our pain doesn't come from the bad thing that happened. It comes from arguing with the fact that it happened. We get stuck on repeat thinking, this shouldn't have happened. It's not fair. That loop just feeds our suffering and keeps us chained to the past. The Stoic shift is so simple, but it's profound. You don't have to approve of what happened. You just have to accept that it did happen. Just saying, it happened, it's real. That alone creates clarity, and it frees you up to ask the only question that matters. Okay, so what's my next move? All right, let's pull all of this together into a really concrete practice, something you can actually use the next time you feel that wall go up, the next time you feel totally overwhelmed by an obstacle. It's just 3 steps, super simple. Step 1, name it. Just put a name to the big emotion you're feeling. I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling really angry. Step 2, flush it. Get that cortisol out of your system. Get up, move your body, take a few deep breaths, put on a song that makes you laugh, anything to change your physical state. And then, step 3, ask it. Once you feel even just a little bit calmer, a little clearer, ask that one powerful question. What is this obstacle trying to show me that I really needed to see? And hey, no pressure here. You don't need to have some huge, earth-shattering epiphany. You're not looking for a giant answer. Honestly, even the tiniest little insight, the smallest shift in how you see things, that's enough. That's enough to get you unstuck and moving forward again. So the next time you're up against it, I want you to remember this. When your child brain is at the wheel, that obstacle is a threat. It is absolutely in your way. But for your conductor, that calm, curious, logical part of you, for the conductor, the obstacle isn't in the way at all. It is the way.